Okay, good evening and welcome to Equine Voices. And this is an interview with Pat Cleveland and Kathy Price. And Pat has got her partner Frank with her, so that's going to be an interesting conversation. So I've told them they've got to be on their best behaviour. And so it should be a fun interview. Well, when I say interview, I'm just going to see where it goes and let the conversation naturally go where it needs to go. If anybody has any questions, you can send a message through to Facebook or to YouTube, because this is being aired through YouTube. And if you're going to watch this on replay, you can still ask any questions. Please feel free to contact myself, Ronnie, or Pat, Frank, and Kathy. So I'm just going to introduce them, and they're going to give you a little quick introduction, because this is my third interview, but the first time with both of them. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I'm just going to bring them both in, and hopefully everything's going to go smoothly and the internet is going to stay as it is. So here we go. Hi. Welcome, Pat and Kathy. So, Kathy, shall I let you go first? Do you want to just do a little brief introduction on your work?
I will. Thank you very much. And thank you for having us and organising this, Ronnie, because it's such fun. Okay, my name's Kathy Price, and my work is called Point of Balance. It's a modality that's purely energetic. And the way I see it working is it conditions the field. So it helps whoever or whatever I'm working with, whether it's a person, a horse, a dog, cat, whatever, it helps them find their way back to balance, where balance equates to health. I believe that every system innately wants to move back to balance, but things get in the way. And so when I work, I don't need to know anything about what's wrong with the system. In fact, I prefer not to, because then this login doesn't get in. Like open the system where balance lies, and making it easy for them to find what they need to move back into balance. I can't make it happen, but I'm a facilitator, and that's the way I work. I work, in person and at distance, and obviously the last 18 months it's been all distance for obvious reasons. But yeah, so that's me, and I'm Point of Balance.
Thank you very much, Kathy. That was great. So, Pat, would you like to do a little introduction?
Okay, well, I'm Pat Cleveland. This is my husband, Frank Fraser. And we are both horse people. We're both very energetic and intuitive. We work in the physical realm of riding and training horses. And along the way, horses began to open up a line of conversation that started to bring out information that's not available in books or videotapes from teachers and schools. We applied that information, and before we know it, we came up with a new approach to human interspecies interactions based on body symmetry and how that solves the problems that people are experiencing in their animal relationships. So Frank is my partner, and he helps me. We came up with patterns of trauma that can be found in all living form, and we use the universal power. It's not about us doing the work. It's actually kind of like Kathy. We facilitate the regeneration, restoration, or rebirthing of the physical form to its genetic potential of body symmetry. And when we work with horses and this occurs, we get a brand new horse with a brand new attitude who helps to expand the connection between us and the holistic nature of our origin. So we have a business called the Balance Horse Project, and we work here at our farm with animals that come in, as well as do long distance consultation and training sessions.
And occasionally we'll travel.
Oh yeah, we do that when it's possible.
Oh, thank you, Pat. That was brilliant. For those that have seen the previous videos, there's more information. You may find more information in there. But once again, you can ask questions to Pat and Kathy through this interview or afterwards. That's fine, and they'll get back to you I'll also post their links to their websites, so you can email them if you need any further information. So why don't we start and say that how this all started? So how are we here tonight? Why are we here tonight?
I think, Ronnie, you're the facilitator of that one, because I think you had you before then?
You just froze a little bit there, Kathy.
Oh,
but yeah,
sorry,
but no, don't worry.
apologies.
No, don't worry. This happened before, but it normally
I
sort of
know.
levels
I'm
out.
hoping it's going to be fixed by next week, please.
Technology.
But anyway, yes. Yeah, wonderful. And a lot of energy. But yeah, so I think, Ronnie, you were getting in touch. You got in touch with me first. And was that before you'd been in touch with Pat?
No, I got in touch with Pat because she popped up on Facebook, and
she's good at that part.
And then I saw her Balance Horse project, and I had a little look, and then I thought, I wonder if she wants to do an interview. And I can't even remember why I've got into interviewing, but I've been guided to that platform for whatever reason. But when I look back, there's been a bit of a trickle, but I thought, I'm going to have a go at this. And Justine Dunn from the States was my first interviewee. But yeah, so I saw Pat, and I messaged her, and to my surprise, it was literally, was it the same day? I think that she messaged back to say, I've been asking the universe for somebody to interview me. And literally, I got your message. So the answer is yes. I was like, yeah. So that was our first introduction. Do you want to take over, Pat? And say why did you want to be interviewed? What was going through? What was it that you needed to get out there?
Okay, well, I had two primary requests. First was to have a bigger, stronger, clearer voice into the mainstream world, because I work in the horse world, and they're very wonderful people, but what my gifts are energetic, empathic, intuitive, and reach beyond the common experience of the horse owner. And I was looking for a way to get information about what we have unraveled and its potentials out to the public. I mean, it's just sitting here quietly working away at a little farm in Dothan, Alabama, and it's kind of like the best kept secret. You just you're like a pot, and it's going to blow the lid off the top of the pot. Well, that's about where I'm at, like, could we please reach forward? And then the other request I had was to meet people who are like-minded, to find my tribe, so that the conversation I want to express is not suppressed by the fear of maybe breaking somebody's concept of understanding or pushing people away.
You mean hurting their feelings?
Okay. Anyway, so I just wanted to have the freedom to have a voice and to express the nonverbal experiences that animals have brought into our life, and the information that comes with that conversation, and how it could reach out and be a huge benefit to anybody else who's looking for answers and can't find them. So then you showed up. So be careful what you ask for, because sometimes you get these gifts and then you meet another group of people, which right after meeting Ronnie, I had another experience, and I'm just like, I'm not, holy jumping, it really happened. I'm not ready for this. And then it's layers and layers and layers. And then I guess Kathy heard the interview with you and ran across a couple of other people, and there was this common topic of conversation, and so she messaged me, and there we go. And we had a 2.5 hour conversation, and
yeah, that was the first.
The universe. I mean, it was perfect.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
That was magic. Yeah.
Oh, So then we get on to how I met Kathy. So again, I explained this, or we explained this in the previous interview with Kathy, how because I also run a intuitive development evening online, and again, that's something else I've been pushed into. It's not something that was in my radar. It's not something that I was really thinking about doing. But a good friend said, you should be doing this, and I was like, but that's not my passion. That's not me. She says, no, you've got to just diversify. There's more things that you should be doing, not just this. So I thought, okay. So I put it out there, and then I got a group of people that I sort of knew anyway, and we've carried on doing this. We meet every week or every other week, and we just do meditations and see what comes through. But we've stuck together, and it's like a little online family. And then I've got another group, which is only a small group, because I'm by no means, I don't have, a huge following. I mean, my Equine Voices, my clients know me for me. But as far as YouTube, there's not a huge following. So this is all new. But she says, oh, you should be doing that as well. I'm like, okay. And because I'd already started doing videos, live videos, and it's on a closed group, and it's really talking about your feelings and just talking about anything and being honest with your emotions. And it's an opportunity to just sort of to speak. And I found I actually quite liked it. I quite liked the person that I saw. And that sounds really silly. And I'm not saying this vainly or egotistical. But when I saw her speak from the heart, I saw another person. And it was like this confident person. And I thought, I like her. And that sounds really bizarre, maybe to some people. But it's like, listening to another person. It's not like the old me. Now, it is me, obviously, but it's like, where does she come from? Where's she been hiding all these years? And I tried to do it. It's really funny. I tried to do it by recording, but you can be very critical, and you can delete it and start again. And you're always looking for perfection. And that's not what this is about. It's for me, when I do animal communication, I talk as it comes. Whatever comes, I talk as it comes, and that's important. So the same with the interviews. I don't want it to be staged. I don't want it to be, obviously we have a bit of a agenda, which I could tick off because we don't stick to it. But hey ho. So basically, I started doing this, and then one of the ladies posted something on the intuitive group, and she got a picture of something on her spectacles, and it was tiny droplets, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning when I looked at it, and I was like, okay, I'll look at that in the morning. And when I looked properly when I woke up, it was tiny little 5 dots in a row in perfect line, and when you zoomed into the photograph, it was like the yin and yang symbol. So I said, oh, it probably means balance. We're getting into balance, and it, because you saw it, it's really to do with you. But then later, I was looking at, I don't know why I was starting to look at Kathy's site. It popped up, and I thought, and it was to do with toots. And I looked, I thought, just see what the reviews are. And when I put the review page on, there was 5 symbols of yin and yang that was on my screen at the time. And I thought, wow, that's the synchronicity you don't ignore. So I literally emailed Kathy to say, you don't know me. I'd like to know a little bit more about what you do. I think I said, I've got something to tell you, but I don't know what it is, something like that. And so that was that bit. Kathy, you can take over from your perspective.
Well, I received this lovely email saying, which I think there was a line in it that sort of said, I'm emailing you, but I'm not quite sure why. And I love emails like that, because it's like you said, it's the intuition, the following the feel that you do that. So yeah, then we got in contact. We had an amazing chat, and you straight away brought a message from Teasel, as we were chatting. And what was interesting for me is my mare Teasel, over the years that I've had her 6 years, within 3 months of having her, I was sitting writing or like automatic writing. When I sat with her, she was just giving me information like time is a human construct and we can change this and we can do that. I mean, I didn't know what I was writing at the time. And then when you gave me that message from Teasel, it was the same way of speaking that she's spoken to me before. And again, I think we've said this before. Am I getting information from there? Is she bringing it through? I'm not sure. But the style was so similar to pages and pages that I've written that I was so entranced by that. And so that was wonderful. And then, you know, I said, can I do a session with Toots? And we went on from there because you know, she found it helpful. Let's say
She
that.
did. Yes, she absolutely. So, so Toots was diagnosed with shivers. I don't know if I told you this, Pat. I can't remember.
No.
So she was, yeah.
I've talked about Kathy's source.
Yeah. So she was diagnosed with shivers, but I don't often. It's not a word I often mention now because I don't try not home onto that energy and add more to it. And last winter, it's been a really wet winter, and we don't have acres and acres of land like you guys. So it you know, there's plenty, but it's not the same. So you're where we are, it gets quite clay. It's clay, and it gets very boggy. And we had lots of rain, so it's slippy sliding. You know what it's like with your own muscles when you're walking on slipping all the time. Your muscles are so tense. She had a little bit of mud fever, which cleared up, but she was struggling in her sacral, and she couldn't turn in one direction. And when she, her normal action is when she lifts her leg up, it's like a quick jugger, and then that's it. That's what she's always done for quite a few years. But the farrier was struggling to lift her leg up, and bless her, she was so good with her. So I said, right, I'm gonna do clicker with her and just focus her mind. So what I did was, after then, I went round, pointed to her foot, and just said leg. And when she lifted her leg up, I clucked her, and I did this, and she was starting to do it intermittently. I mean, she was still struggling, but she was focusing what was being asked of her. And then I think it was. A few days later, she was still doing this, but she was still struggling. So Kathy kindly offered to do a treatment. No, it's not. You don't call it a treatment. A session. Sorry,
yes,
a session. And it was so funny because she says, "I'll do it at 2:00." So I went down to Toots, flask of tea, sat outside, and Toots came down, and she sort of dozed off a bit, and licking and chewing, and then she walked off. And then Kathy texted me, says, right, I'm about to start. So I burst out laughing, saying, well, Toots knew you were starting half an hour ago because she's already walked off and had some. So she was already aware
of that. Sorry, I'm just going to, no, you carry on. I'll say this later. Don't worry. No, you carry on because there's a whole story with that. Sorry, yeah.
So she did that, and I think that was a Friday or whatever. And the next day when I went down, in fact, a bit later, the next day, again, I was doing her legs, and I tended to go in a certain route, a certain way. And I thought, I'm sure this is easier. And I wasn't wanting to look for something. I was doing it very, sort of, I was trying to do it, what's the word? I can't think of the word. So I wasn't, I wasn't looking for things that weren't there, but because I wanted it to be not
attached to a
not
result.
Attached, yeah. So there was improvement. I thought, I'm sure there's improvement. And then I think it was 3 days later, and I went to do her legs, and she literally lifted her leg up, and there was no shiver, no judder, and she was comfortable for me to hold her leg. I thought, she's never done that in all the time I've had her since she's got progressively worse. That's not happened. And she doesn't stand square. She stands with her feet sort of underneath her slightly. But she almost had a scissor action. So she was getting further and further apart because it was that was more comfortable. So her back end was scissors and the front end would be together. But her muscles looked taut, and you could just tell that this spasm was taut. And I thought, crikey, crikey, okay, I'll acknowledge that. So I said, Toots, I acknowledge what you've just done. And then the next step, when I went down later, I did it again, cleaned her feet out. No spasm, no high lift. She'd really lift her leg up like this, no lift. And I thought, okay, I noticed that again, Toots, well done. And then I went the other way. I did it the opposite way. And I was like, holy Moses, this is, I've never had that result. I have had lots of results in different areas, but the shiver part, the spasm was always something that would still be there. So I text Kathy, I think, and I got some photos and sent some photos. Mm-hmm. Then she was stood in a stable in a shelter because she's out 24/7. She has a shelter, and she was stood underneath her. And again, she's never been vertical at the back. And I was like, she's vertical. She's got both feet together, but not like cow hocked. She's got them together. So I was amazed. And then when the farrier come, she said, oh, how is she? I said, you tell me and I'll tell you afterwards. Mm-hmm. And because I told her I was doing clicker with her as well. And she said, she's really, a lot better. And I could do her feet. I said, yes. So then I told her what had happened. She was like, okay. Okay. So that, yes. So for me, that was like, wow. But then I forgot to say to Toots, I was so excited that I was looking for more improvements each day, which it sort of came up and then it was fine. And I thought, do you know what? That's the best she's ever been as far as that. So there was other stuff that was adjusting, but the shiver was the biggest dramatic change for me, the spasm. And then I stopped acknowledging and saying, I can see a difference. And I thought I think it was a few weeks later, I thought, oh, I can see signs again. And I thought, oh, don't do that. Don't start to look for things just because I'm aware that when the body changes, it changes. And then the other bit has to adjust. And there's lots of adjusting going on. This is my understanding. You can't do it all in one go. And if something's been that way for such a long time, when that's changed, so because she was using her bum and her sacral in a better way, that means the bits that she wasn't using before would maybe be thinking, oh, okay, I don't know. This is how I'm sort of describing it in my head. So where am I today? There is a slight spasm, but she's not where she was before Kathy did some work with her by any means, but there is a slight, but again, yeah. But I have started to say to her, I can see the improvement. So even the tiniest improvement, I'm acknowledging it because she's looking for me now. One day I went in the shelter and she was starting to stand a bit different again. And I thought, oh, crikey. And then I thought, look, stop doing that. So I said to Toots, I know you felt what it's like for your body to change without that thing. And you felt it and you recognized it and I recognized it. I said, you can do that again because you've done it once, you can do it again, but it's your choice. And she turned around and looked at me and she put her legs together. And then I walked out. I said, thank you. But that she was showing me yes at that. Yeah. So I still have lots of questions it's still an ongoing thing.
So you, as long as you're manifesting good things,
good
things were happening. But when you listen to the Jen in your ear,
and the doubt,
a little bit of doubt in the desert caused you to question.
And it's not. I just want to confirm it's no doubt in Kathy's capability or anybody's capability, because lots of people have helped with it. But it's I'm well aware it's my own doubts and my own energy that adds. We are the only species that can talk ourselves. We are so intellectual that we talk ourselves out of good things. Yes.
That's how smart we are.
Absolutely.
And then another observation in the statement that you refer back to muscle memory pulling us back into trauma, and that things move incrementally and that it can't be resolved all at once. I would come back with a question to you: why?
This is why I'm talking to you.
When we work together, we shift whole bodies as one unit. And when you solve the core physical block so that the energy can flow through the vessel in its most efficient way, then there's no muscle memory because there's no trauma left to create the memory.
Except for the owner's own.
Except for the owner's intention.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this is just observations.
No, and I always look to me. So I believe in my world, and it might sound a bit, but because whatever's going on with me, she's very good at reflecting it back and telling me to sort myself out. And I've learned through the years that if I don't, she's the one that suffers. And I don't mean that I'm intentionally, but it reflects in her. Because
they're our mirror. They mirror us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a field full of mirrors right now. We were discussing that this morning. We're sitting here having coffee, looking out, and all of a sudden went, hey, you know what? Yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic to have a field full of horses. Yeah, dude, we do nothing with, but they're just enjoying their lives. They're a bunch of old horses anyway now. And she goes, yeah, it is, isn't it? We're just happy to have horses. And I went, yeah, because if we did, we'd be killing each other.
Yeah. So, like, I think Kathy has a similar philosophy about not being the healer, but just being like a magnet that kind of focuses where the energy should be flowed towards, or opening up the channel between the human or the horse with the higher resource situation that we have available. And I think it's really powerful because people, we're in a different dimension. Here we go down Pat's rabbit hole, but we're in a different way of understanding information, and we intersect with energy on a completely different angle. So if you think of a back tracing of a horse, almost looks like a sound wave. And we're standing vertical in that energy flow of the horse. So how we project our intention, what our ego is saying, what our own personal states of imbalance really are, when it goes through that wave of energy that's horizontal, intersects with us, it takes our information and reflects it or mirrors it onto the animal or the people around us or the environment or the experiences that we're going to attract to ourselves.
Well, that's like when people talk to plants. People that talk to their plants, the plants grow really nice. The ones that don't talk to their plants, they're too hot, really. It's the same thing with the horses and people. I mean, if you that spiritual bond with them, if your intent is good, it will happen. If it's not good,
but you don't have to know what the problem is. You just have to hold the intention of being shown, and maybe pull in the intention of whatever is needed to resolve the problem. And it doesn't have to be a physical action. Okay, but you can pull in that potential energy, that potential solution for that animal or individual. That's powerful.
I mean, because
that's what it's supposed to be, at least for me.
If you worry constantly every day about something bad can happen, this bad can happen, and you're going to manifest that to show up at your front door. That will show up. That's good. That will show up.
Absolutely. I think Kathy wants to go on. Kathy, what was you going to say?
I'm just nodding my head. I'm just nodding my head because, everything Pat was saying there, that we have such similarity in the way that we work, because I my sort of principles are change can happen faster than the speed of light, and you only need one session. That's the way I work. So as you said, that I don't say a treatment because I don't know what's wrong or what, you know, what has caused any imbalance in the system at all. It could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be spiritual, it could be all three. And I know nothing. The system knows everything. So that's my sort of philosophy, is that I prefer, well, look, I say to everybody, you only need one session from my perspective. If you choose to come back to me, and this has been something that's happened recently where people have seen big change, and then they've said, but I just feel it's time for something else. And one was, I was working, you know, with a lady in Australia, and the other one was a horse. Yes. So it was, I think it's time, there's another layer, and that's absolutely fine. But my whole ethos is poof, done.
Yeah,
and in fact, the sort of the length of the session is more indicative of the human condition. It was interesting what you were saying, and you, Pat, about how why can't a system change at once? You know, you were saying the muscle memory and everything, which I totally get. But it is sort of, we've been taught, oh, healing's hard. It's really hard to get better. Oh, you can get this bit better, but you know, it's always been made to be the suffering side of it, which, you know, not belittling anything anybody goes through, but it's a mindset as well. What you were saying, Frank, you know, if you step into that, oh, life is so blooming hard, hallelujah, guess what it's going to be? And so, you know, it's what you attract. But it's that, for me, the system knows what it needs. And its stuff gets in the way. I'm being polite there because I usually say
humans get in the way. We get in the way.
Well, not me. It's not even that, but it's the perception, it's the experience, it's the patterns. You know, with humans and horses, if they've been, you know, treated in a certain way, that's what they expect, and it can be a blockage. But it's the answer is there, and so with Pat saying exactly the same sort of thing, it's reminding the system of where that balance is.
So that's what I need to do then, don't I? I need to.
Yeah, and it's also intention, because it was interesting what you said about Toots and the 2 o'clock. And this is, oh God, it's getting so spooky with me so many times now, that I know that I've only got to set the intention and stuff happens. You know, in some ways, and sometimes I don't even have to be there at all. And so I knew that session was at 2 o'clock. I'd booked it in at 2 o'clock, but somewhere along the line I'd gone to 2:30. But my intention was 2 o'clock with Toots.
Well, she knew
so
that.
My intention was that 2 o'clock, and she said, yeah, thank you. And then my human side went, oh, it's 2:30. And that's what happens. And I've had it happen before exactly the same way. And I recently put a video up of all the horses joining in. My intention was on one horse, and basically I'd walked down the track. I'd seen this horse. I knew I wanted to give him a session. His owner had said, "You better do it sooner rather than later because he's not in a good place." I then went back to the car and said, "Right, I'll do him today." Went back to the car, came back. The horse was already in the space. I hadn't done any. I hadn't sort of gone, right, now we're going to start work. That horse was there. My intention was there. The horse was there. And then 4 other horses joined in. And it's, you know, it's magical. Absolutely magical.
So the
when
field,
they
sorry.
Yeah.
We locked up. Are we working?
Technology.
No, just
Yeah,
go.
it's exactly.
Slight delay.
I know.
So the subconscious of the human runs ahead of the conscious act of the human. This is a scientifically proven fact. So that the intention that
you're bringing science into this again.
Well,
carry on.
Behave.
But, you know, the subconscious runs ahead of the timeline that we're in, the future. And I also have found that animals themselves. And so the perception that we set on ourselves as time is irrelevant. because it's the projection, the intention that you had originally is already in the horse's timeline. The picture that the horse has of what they are capable of receiving is already overlaid in their present consciousness. Now, this gets really for some people, but when I work, I fold the past trauma, ask for the future, and I merge it into the present timeline, the energy stream of the horse. And I see those layers, but the horse doesn't experience those layers until I introduce a concept to them.
They don't see a future.
They don't see a future. They have muscle memory, the significant triggers of pain, which they relate to past behavior patterns, but they don't really hold the concept of time. It's just everything is present. So when we set a time for the animal, it's irrelevant. It's the intention that supersedes the concept of time, because time doesn't exist.
Which is what we're taught more and more. More and more.
Well, we're kind of taught a lot of things,
but we don't always do it.
and it's like, I keep wondering, I mentioned it in my conversation with Kathy, like, if we're vertical consciousness, if we're highly intellectual beings on a vertical scale, and we're functioning as aliens in a horizontal energy stream, and everything else is in a horizontal energy stream, why were we created? Why are we here? And why does everything hold the genetic memory of being symmetrical? And why is it that animals cannot solve their own problems? But when you have a human, whether it's a physical intervention, energy medicine, or an empathic intuitive intervention,
Or just being present.
okay, or we just have that presence, we're the key to eliminating pain and suffering. And we are taught to expect the pain and suffering instead of moving into the position of preventing it, so that there is no need for pain and suffering. And that's the position that I work from as a horse trainer. I would rather take my skill sets and teach it to people who are like-minded and start to unwind the mysteries of the horse, which we've documented why we have pain and suffering in horses. Well, if we reverse that pattern, do we have horses that go through pain and suffering in performance or in their lives? And is that pain and suffering passed on to the next generation of horses? That's the conversation I would love to bring in to horse training. People want what I do to fix damaged horses, and I can respect that. But my position has taken me from that into, can we shift how we interact at the very beginning to be preventative, to do what we're supposed to
So
do.
we're not having to fix.
But the
Yes.
problem is that people want her to fix a horse, and then they go back and repeat the same
And they don't want to
thing
change.
again, so you fix the horse. It's just over and over.
So and it's a different system, because we're talking about energy, intention, and how that energy is conducted or carried through the physical form. In the systems that we work with in an everyday life is biology and chemistry, and it has no connection, number one, to energy, and number two, it's in a system that has dissected everything into a special conversation with a special function and language. And what we're doing is we're progressively unplugging the life force of every living life form out of a holistic, energetic, and conscious system that actually supports our lives, whether we choose to or not to accept it. We're here for a
Wow.
reason.
I'm
It's
listening,
pretty
but
powerful.
my brain's trying to digest
It's a
that.
lot. Okay. You can tell.
Another cup of coffee, you'll be fine.
You can tell when you get hit by lightning that you just kind of upgrade a little bit in your life experiences, okay?
Tequila does the same thing too. It upgrades your life.
Oh dear.
You know, the experiences that we've had with horses, before I ever started trying to document them, were off the wall. And they didn't make sense. And you couldn't really speak to them because everybody looked at you like you were like, I don't know, doing something you shouldn't
on
have been
another
doing.
planet.
But we got people that come here and they can't believe how we just walk up and we talk to our horses just like we're talking to a kid. Just, really, you're going to do that? And the horse just stand and look at you and just all of a sudden go like, oh. You say, really, you need to just walk on down the aisleway, go get in your stall and behave. And then you see the horse all of a sudden just walk down the hallway, go get in the stall, and everybody goes, how the hell are they doing that? And I go, just talk to them like you talk to anybody. Yeah, they know.
So guys, right. So tell me where you and Kathy are now, because Kathy,
That's right there.
you contacted Pat, and then with a long conversation, which I'd love to have been a fly in the wall. So tell me what's come from that and Teasel.
Well, that conversation was when I listened. It was exactly as you said, Pat. That when I heard your first conversation with Ronnie, it was like, hallelujah, another tribe member. I hear you. And I just had to get in touch because there were so many synchronicities, so many commonalities with the way you were speaking. And when you were describing how the energetic formation of laminitis, it was like, oh my God, I've got to talk to this lady. And so that's what we did for 2.5 hours. And yes, so my mare Teasel she's very interesting. She's a Spanish mare, a pre-mare. I've had her 6 years and she came straight from the breeder to me. So she had been very lightly started, but there was no other sort of major intervention and she hadn't been trained or anything like that. And looking back now, I realized that her structure has been compromised right from the start. When I start looking at photos with a different eye, I can see. So she basically is elephant on a ball stance with all 4 legs together. And she's been croup high. She's 10 now. She's been croup high all of her life, which I know they say some Iberians can be that way, but you do wonder what the cause is now. But anyway, so she was croup high. And then at the beginning of this year, I just got this insight. She was like telling me we're going to find the answer. And 11 days later, a trimmer came, changed her feet slightly. For the first time in her life, she was level. I've actually got photos of a spirit level on her because she literally within a week had changed shape. And I knew that was a first part. It wasn't the everything, but it was the first part. And then she's at a rehab center now. The reason being that I've got a track here, but she was standing still too much. She needed more movement. So she's gone down to this amazing rehab where they've got 2 miles of track and all the different. She's got a Spanish boyfriend, which has made her very, very happy, very happy. And so those two are always hanging out. And there's the lady who's, knows the herbs, knows everything inside out, which is brilliant. But there's still something there. There's you can just feel it there. And so when Pat and I were talking, it was like, Pat, please, Pat, could you work with my horse, Pat, please? And so we're just on the next stage of that I've asked Pat to sort of take Teasel and I on as a client, and I've just sent her photos today, the ones she needed to see, this is the ground zero at the moment, to see where she goes from here and what we see. So, yeah, we had an amazing conversation. I mean, I can't think what subject we didn't actually cover, but we have got a transcript.
Yes.
She froze again.
Where?
She froze.
She'll come back, don't worry.
I'll come back. Hello. I'm back. Hello. It's the Welsh Wi-Fi, okay? There's not enough sheep with mobile phones here, so the signal.
Put the little antennas on the flock of sheep and let them walk around. Anyway. So
that was.
Somebody's going to do that now.
It was a pretty
Elon
awesome.
Musk.
Pretty awesome conversation, anyway. And we're not quite sure where it's going to lead us, are we, Pat? But somewhere good.
I have already set the pictures. So
we know where. She knows where she's going.
And so Teasel came to you from a breeder. So there
Yeah.
was really no serious
Expectation.
direct physical insult to her as in this time. And she is like all horses and like all people, she's carrying inherited trauma.
Yeah.
Now you go, what is inherited trauma? So like there was a study done in the 1960s, I think it ended in the 1980s. Maybe it was 1950 to 1980 with the chiropractors, and they looked at women and conformation and posture in people. And so say I fell down a flight of stairs and twisted my back, and then I went out as a mother and had children. Well, my injury posture is transferred, imprinted physically onto the offspring. So there's a difference between genetic information and the imprinting of trauma. And that took me to birth trauma. And they realized that from the mother's posture of injury is imprinted on the offspring, and that is then imprinted further on the next generation. So now if you have somebody that goes out and plays football, and a guy, okay, and he's paired with his wife, and his hips are twisted and his back is not straight, that is going to influence the birth canal of the mother. So now we have layers of trauma from life experiences. But it gets more interesting because in the horse world, we do interventions. When we train a horse and he can't turn to the left, well, we put pulleys and rigs on and
Shoes.
we put shoes,
wedge this way.
And we inject hocks, et cetera, and we try to make it so the horse can do the work. But we're not really looking at the inability to do work as the symptom of a pre-existing state of trauma, which is imprinted at birth. And until we get our thinkers on and realize that we need to go back to the point of the first injury in the horse's body and reverse that pattern of inherited trauma, we are just layering and layering and layering information, trauma information, onto the structure of horses, into the genetic memory of horses. It does not change the genetics, but it's in the process of how that horse is going to develop. It is definitely passed from mother to her offspring.
So Freud was right. Everybody blames their mother at some point in time for something.
and so in Teasel's case, she's all locked up because in the Baroque and Spanish schools a long time ago, it was caging the front end and asking the horse to sit down. But maybe her ancestors at some time were war horses and went through trauma. And then you breed an injured horse, right? So they bred injured horses and they produced consistently at this point in modern times, we have the majority of horses that are on a downhill slope, downhill horses. And so the butt's high and the shoulders are pulled underneath and the hindquarters stick out behind the horse.
The neck's tucked in.
And they'll lift the head up or they'll slope the head down depending on the horse. And that's describing primary training postures that we're struggling with. And if we could go back and look at the inherited quality of conformation posture and forget the genetics, like, I bred to this champion, forget that part. That's there and I can't alter that. But what I can do is open up the electrical circuits that the energy, the life force that moves through that horse's body can actually move through in a quick, efficient, and straight line versus
yeah.
wobbling from left to right, and it's all lopsided. You got one high foot and one low foot, and the barrel is off centered, so it sways one way. You got one high shoulder and one puffy shoulder, and the hip is crooked. That's all goes back.
Well, that's a funny looking horse.
We've seen several of those. So it all goes back to what we are doing with our interventions, because we're now compounding natural inherited trauma with manufactured inherited trauma. And even if we just forget all of it and just go back to the primary injury of the horse's body, everything spontaneously, as Kathy says, at the speed of light or the speed of sound, it all self-corrects like that. And that's where the magic is.
This is why you guys need to get the message out. Oops. Oh, what happened there? I didn't do anything. Oh dear.
Disappearing act.
Technology, see?
What happened there? Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Kathy, please join us again.
What, me?
She can link in. I don't know if I caught that. Oh, I do apologise, everybody. I think I've just kicked Kathy off. Or maybe her internet's just... No, I think I must have kicked her off. I'm so sorry. She'll come back. She'll come back.
I'll be nice to you, Frank. Be good. Don't push her. You could just...
Oh my goodness. I'll just say sorry.
Sorry, Kathy.
Oh,
maybe
God.
if you get some sheep with the antennas
You
on
can
them.
rejoin. Oops. Oh my goodness. While she's trying to rejoin, I'll just tell you. Oh, there she is. Was that me or was that you?
No, guaranteed me. Don't worry. Guaranteed me.
I just think, oh God. Oh my
But
goodness.
it's okay. So I obviously lost the last couple of minutes of that, but it's so interesting what you were saying, Pat, because I think I told you, and maybe you as well, Ronnie, that when Teasel first came to me, and a wonderful cranial sacral osteopath who also did healing, had also done shamanics, came to work with her, Teasel would not let her touch her to begin with. She's absolutely squealed. And Kat went, okay, there's something going on here. And she sort of communicated with her. And she said, basically, part of Teasel's path is about resolving the trauma of the Spanish horses. So what you said was so absolutely on it, because it's, she said, I can see broken bodies beneath it. You know, the horses after in war and the bullfights, and the Spanish horses were always the ones, you know, that the princes rode into battle and things like that, apart from the training side of it. And so that is part of her path. And I know what another Spanish horse, again, she's brought forward this as well. So what you're saying makes so much sense, in that her body is completely twisted up because of all that trauma. And it's the resolving of that trauma in her body which will help resolve the ancestral trauma. So
when we breed horses for specific traits, and this is not to insult anybody who breeds horses, but when you get a horse with a specific trait and it excels at a certain type of sport or a certain type of work description, we layer breeding like type horses together to create a breed. Now the question is body symmetry a standard feature in genetics, and does it supersede breeding like typed horses together, which are actually horses with a similar type of life or inherited injury? So which one supersedes the other? That's where I'm at with my questioning now. So I can take a standard bred pacing horse and influence the mare, and she will produce a pretty amazing offspring, and that horse will go start into developmental work with a trainer. I will go back and reinforce the release of that natural energy, and the horse doubles his muscle mass in 120 days and goes through his training process about 6 weeks ahead of his direct siblings. And we've done this several times. So we keep layering the release of that imprinted or inherited trauma, and we start to produce and upgrade the quality of horse, the quality of life for the horse, and they interact as if they are equally intellectual. This is a problem for a lot of people. They react equally in intellect and consciousness, sentient, as you or I. There is no, I can have a conversation either with word or without word with a horse. And horses here will come in from the field with just like maybe halter broke. And what did we do? We sent one to Kathy and she rode it in the round pen, like just halter green, went to the round pen, string halter. Kathy rode her Walk Talk Canada this first day, right?
First day.
And
just couldn't believe. The thing is this is a horse that when we would do stuff with other horses when she was a filly, and she would stand in the barnyard while we were doing stuff with her mother, the mare, and you put a halter on, and or put a bridle on a whole bit. I was do like this,
packing up another horse.
Yeah,
she would walk between me and Trooper, and I'd be straightening out the bridle to introduce it to Trooper, and she's putting her head in it.
Yeah. And so she got to the point where it was like, you throw blankets on the whole bit, great. But that was because she was a correct horse. She was taken out of her birth trauma, the whole bit, and she was just always worked with along those lines. And it made just training just so much easier. We had the same thing with horses that have been, how do I put it, that weren't bred by, that we didn't do the breeding with, but that we had show up at our place. Well, we've done round pen work with them. Mm-hmm. And we take one of our horses in and do round pen, and the other horses are just standing on the outside watching, like they're grazing, like they're not even paying attention. And next thing you know, you take the one out, you leave the gate open from the round pen and go and walk the horse in and put him in the stall. When you turn around and go out, one of them's left out of the group and is standing in there like, okay, my turn.
My turn.
It's kind of like, it's my turn to be special and important. And then when you shut the gate, it's like, okay. And then you start doing the thing. All of a sudden, it's like they picked up on what the other ones do. And they're over there grazing. Like they're like a bunch of people on the street. Yeah. Oh, no, we're not really paying attention to what you're doing, but they're keeping an eye on you the whole time. Yeah.
So the training, the interaction level.
Yeah, they're dumb animals with a brain the size of a walnut. Anyway.
Remember walnut. So what we've experienced is the when we rebirth the horse, it restores the balance of the horse, and so they're equally flexible, and they have no memory of pain because there's no trigger points. Like I studied chiropractics and massage and a whole bunch of certifications, and I walked away because I, as a horse trainer, need a permanent solution. So when we have these horses straight, there's no reflexes. In chiropractics, they tell me, oh, well, the lumbar needs to have this reflex, and you need to have a gluteal rump reflex, and go underneath the horse's girth line, and you can lift up the withers, okay, because of the reflex. Well, in our horses, there's no reflex because there's no pain. So when you start to ride these horses, they train up from 0 to going over fences in 12 to 14 days.
And the other thing is, and you guys all know this as well, and all dogs, cats, they do have a memory of the past, but they choose to live in the present. So when they've got no pain, they're living exactly in the present. So that's the easiest thing in the world.
And that's kind of what our program is about, is to how can we shift the focus in our interaction in the development of animals, whether it's a dog, a horse, cow, a goat. We've done this with goats. You know, how does
they were tasty too. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, right. Anyway.
But you live in Wales, you know that they got sheep, what they're really for.
Yeah. I was going to say I'm not going to even go there. No.
So it's instant. It's just not like we're having this experience with our horses. We're having it with everything.
Well,
It blows me away.
look, when everything's out of pain, everything Ronnie knows from the last time and all, I'm the guy that goes, hey, the cost is cheaper. We're happy. Yeah. I mean, like, as long as if you can keep something out of pain, your all around general life is better for yourself emotionally, but also is you're not stressing about how much money you got to fork out to get this person in to take care of this problem, this person to come in.
Yeah.
And if you're going to manifest that intent,
Mhm.
you just make everybody's life generally all around good. If I can just manifest some hair, it'd be great. Trust me,
you can borrow some of mine.
No. Listen, I've been manifesting it, and it's not growing all back here and right there.
You have to be more specific, Frank. You're not being specific.
Oh no! Trust me, when you get specific, it really backfires. It goes, okay, there you go. Yeah.
You know, so the way I think about energy and the way Kathy works with energy or is, perceiving it, we're on parallel conversations. So,
And Kathy, you might have had a 2-hour conversation with Pat. I had a 3-hour conversation of your conversation.
but it's good to know. It's good to know that there's more people out there that are looking at this holistic physical energy intention bridge, and that we're actually working to a common goal. It's all taking us to the same place. And I think that is something that needs to be validated more, and to give words to people, and to also stand up and say, okay, well, I don't care what other people think, because this is my reality. I've been doing this reality now for 40 years and documenting it for 20. And if I can do this, so can other people. And if people are already starting that and they have no place to go, who do you talk to about your wild experiences with nature? And I think
You do it on the internet, like we are.
Yeah. So things like this, where we can
It's
get
for real
together, is helpful.
It
to
must
people.
be true if it's on the internet.
Internet.
Oh,
Well, I wouldn't have met
there
you
we go.
guys if it was. Yeah, if it wasn't for this, I certainly wouldn't have met Pat. Well, I wouldn't have met you. So as much as it gets slated, it's serving a purpose, and
it's how you use it. I mean, my vision is that we get to a place where, for me, connection is massive. Because everything is connected. It's through the field. Everything is connected. We're made up of space, of nothingness and energy, and that's it. And I mean, that's
nothingness up there.
Yeah, there's plenty of that over there with me as well. That's the reality that the quantum physics says, and who knows whether other stuff will be found. I don't know, but for me it's about understanding the connection out and the connection in. I've been sort of fascinated by Aboriginal peoples, because they are the ones that have got this connection. And if you look at their cultures, they're the peaceful ones, because they're connected. They understand their balance with everything, that word again. And I feel that we need to, as a Western society, to reconnect, to find our way back to that connection. But they're not chuck away everything that we've discovered, like you were saying about the internet, that it's not a case of, everything modern is bad. And that seems to, people think, we've got to go back to living sort of in mud huts and whatever. No, I think a balance can be found where we can live and a connected life where we're in balance, but we use the stuff that we've learned, because everything is for a reason. It's how you use it that is the difference.
Well, Pat knows I always say everybody comes into your life, even if you meet somebody for 5 minutes, listen to whatever the conversation was that you had with them for that 5 minutes. Everybody comes into your life to teach you something. You learn something, you gain knowledge from everybody. If it's from a waitress at a restaurant to, well, I'll leave out some bartenders. But anyway, even a kid, you can bump into a kid, and kids have the greatest knowledge in the world. I mean, they tell you things that you like, okay. But I thoroughly believe that everybody has a piece of knowledge that when we all interact, you will find that little grain that is a little bit more into you. Everybody fills up with a little bit more knowledge from everybody. And that's key. That's key to actually being damn human for a change. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there I was, and more coffee. Anyway.
Stop. Okay, so I take a little different trajectory.
To Frank.
Okay.
She doesn't go down my rabbit hole often.
So, number one, I don't make claim to having a tribe, but I am recognized within the shamanic community. And within shamanism, there is really no new science. We are complete, and we hold the wisdom of everything that's already happened on this planet. And we are in an artificial simulation that in shamanism, you walk two paths in life. And our goal is to put the two paths together so that we have balance. So here's a question. What if the science that we ignore, we call it magic, we call it myth, we call it snake oil, fantasy, fairy tales. What if within those storylines, within that oral tradition, that it is the description of the very mechanisms that support the history of the human race? And what if we already have a pre-existing knowledge of science, but not this science? In science, in Latin, the root form for science is scio. Scio breaks down into dissection, the cutting apart to put into pieces. And that's exactly what our science does. It takes the holistic history of mythology or within nature, and it breaks it down and it disconnects it. So if you go back to the traditional way of thinking, whether it's the traditions that you find in religious text or in oral traditions of original people, they're always putting us back inside ourselves to show us that there's a spark of life, a star seed, a brilliance. And within that brilliance, that is the escape route from this simulation that is teaching people that we must survive in a state of pain and suffering. So for me, there have been existences of different dimensions, if you want to put it this way, or different timelines of technology. There's so much evidence on this planet that our ancestors understood the magic of the magnetic fields, the telluric fields, or how the body worked. They were doing massage and acupuncture. They had the human body mapped out at the very beginning of the Chinese Empire. How does that happen? How you sit back and you start to look at the history. And yes, we can reproduce some of it, but we can't reproduce all of it. So within the ancient or traditional or original people's storyline, the human genetics is the history book and the science of magic of this place. So I think that's the difference between people who are looking at science. Now you can go into quantum physics and new new physics, and you can say, oh yes, this is explaining spiritualism, but you are trying to break new ground without understanding your history. And that's where you go back into shamanism or into your original writings of different teaching books, and you find yourself. And that's why I think we are amazing creatures. We were created uniquely, and we have amazing abilities that our animals really are hoping we wake up and start to use.
Look, the only reason why animals really keep us around is we have this.
Thumbs.
The thumb.
You really want to freak your horse out? Take your shoes and socks off and wiggle your toes.
Wiggle your toes. I'm serious.
Go,
You ought to
what?
watch it. Go, what the hell is that? Yeah.
You are alien.
Well, seriously.
No, I think you speak a lot of sense there, Pat, because as you were talking about the new science, so many of the terms and the way they're looking at it are reflected from ancient text. You know, you want to find the answer, look within. And it's the same, they're saying, you know, the holographic universe or whatever you want to call it, or, you know, whatever you want to look at. And I so agree that the discoveries they've made where they cannot explain how certain things have been done thousands of years ago. That there was an experiment done over here to try and get the blue stones from Preseli, which is just south of me here, over to Stonehenge. They sunk. I mean, with all the technology that they've got now, they tried to recreate it in a way.
I'd have paid $20 to see that.
There was a whole program. But they tried to, think of the way that it was actually done. And the first experiment they did, they got to the Bristol Channel and sunk. And then the second one, they did a much better job. And they were trying to work out, the pulley system and the rollers and everything. I mean, what manpower they had, I don't know. But on our farm here, we've got a 4,500-year-old circle. It's not a stone circle. It's a crop mark, basically. And it blows my brain because it's 40 meters wide. And in the middle, there would have been a sort of a hill. Which they would have made with the burial chamber underneath, and the man hours and the energy that was expended to build these, and we're finding out they were all around this place, not only in this valley but there's close by, and it's just the energy they spent to do this. And interestingly, I had somebody call round, and that he did sort of walk round it, and he was marking places out, and he'd worked out the ley line that was running straight through the middle of the actual circle and the burial mound. They knew so much, and they did so much. I absolutely agree with you. I can understand what you're saying there, but that there's so much ancient knowledge that we've lost. And it's sort of something happened, they got wiped, and now we're been rebuilding. But as you said, we're building abstract concepts with nothing is connected. The only way to explain everything is to break it into individual parts and never look at the whole as how they all work together. It's, that's broken, well, we'll mend that, and then somehow miraculously that's meant to mend the whole thing. Of course, it doesn't work. But yeah, it's a really interesting concept.
I think people that work with horses have this great opportunity to expand and experiment with their personal awareness. I find that the less I think around a horse, the clearer the information I receive. And that way the horse has actually got the ability to share information. Because the Satori Institute in California with the Math Heart Institute, I think it was in 2008, did research, and it was proven that horses send out telepathic wavelengths that are received in the human right brain, so that horses are able to influence ideas that come into who we are, into our processor, and direct us to concepts or resources that horse is very aware that it needs.
Yes.
That is a published paper. You can look it up at the Heart Math Institute online, Google it. So that says that there's a measurable energy transmission. And it doesn't come to the left brain because there's no bridge from the left brain to the heart. It will come into the right brain because the right brain is connected to the heart, and it also bridges to the left brain. So we are led by our horses if we are not cluttering with what if, fear, thought, oh, I need to go over here, buy this, oh gosh, I did something wrong. If you just sit and just allow nature to make noises, and whatever comes to you, write it down. Who knows? You might actually have a great concept given to you.
Our herd of horses, we got a piece of property on our south over here that has a rise that goes over. The horses be over on the other side of the rise. You just walk into the pasture and just stand there. Don't even have to say a thing or call them. Just stand. Guarantee it, all of a sudden they've sent one up over the hill. Go take a look and see who it is that walked in the field. And I mean, you're 20 acres away from each other, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, there's a human here. Next thing you know, here comes the rest of the herd, and they come right up on you. It's like, okay, what do you want? Kind of deal. It's like, how did you even know I was here? That's how far out their signal is.
Yeah.
That, and they let you know when it's going to rain 30 minutes before the storm ever gets to the property. They show up. We've got a spot on our property. We know when it's going to be a thunderstorm. They all show up. It's wide open field, and they park themselves right here across from our living room window. They park themselves out in the field, and you can sit here, and when it's raining, you can tell what wind speed is and what direction it's coming from because the way they are. It's just funny. They know way more. They know way more than we ever will. We're the smart ones, but they need these.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I'm fascinated. I loved that when you said about they send us messages so they can get what they need.
Yeah,
that's just yeah.
I've got one right now, the newest one to our farm, and she looks at me like, "Oh, really?" And I mean, I was standing like, hey, come on, you want to move along and do this. Turn her head and look at her like, I don't think this is going to happen the way you want. It was when we got in the car. We left. She run around our front yard.
She wouldn't move.
She looked at me, and I put in reverse. I beat the horn. She just turned her head and looked at me like, and I was like, hey, get out of the car and say, move along. And she was just like, okay, whatever. And just moseyed on. I told Pat, I said.
He backed the car up.
I backed the car up on her.
The horse is here. And he backs up, and he's right beside her, and he wants to turn the vehicle so he can make the swing, and she refused to move.
She looked at me like,
she's like, you're not going anywhere. I'm controlling you.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, the horse training went well. The horse has got it figured out.
Trained you well. Oh, guys.
Yeah,
Guys.
God, that's so good.
This is fascinating. Yeah.
And so I used to, I don't ride so much anymore, but
we're old.
But I used to get
You're never
on
too old. You're never too
old. No. We're at that age. Listen, I learned a valuable lesson. We enjoy our hobby. We enjoy our horses. We rode like gangbusters when we were younger. We both have ridden the same horse. My quarter horse got him years ago. I rode him. He threw me. I hit the ground, got up, shook my head. She was going, you know what happened? This, and this. I said, that's great. Fine and dandy. Because, I said, it was so quick. Never knew it was happened.
He doesn't telegraph.
Right. Horse does not telegraph. I mean, not an ear, nothing. This horse was like, and it was over with. I got up and I said, you know what? I've been in martial arts contests and a whole bit. I said, I've never had my bell ring like that. I've never had it. I probably had like a mild concussion. We're fine. About 5 or 6 days later, you got on that horse.
Mm-hmm.
She gets on the horse. I'm bush hogging. Turn around, looking back, make sure she's okay.
Yep.
She gets on him. She's riding him in a round pen. Suddenly I look back, one go around. I got a horse standing at one side of the round pen, empty saddle. And I got a wife on the ground.
Oh.
By the time I got back over, I walked up and the horse is going, oh hell, I really screwed up. And you're okay, buddy. And I looked at her and I went, Pat? She goes, yeah. And I went, you want to get up off the, you want help getting up off the ground? She goes, what are you talking about? I go, you're on the ground. She goes, I am. I went, yeah. She goes, yeah, okay. So I sat her up a little bit. She looked and I go, you okay? Yeah. She said, okay. I go, just sit here for a minute. I'm going to go take this horse. So I walked over and I grabbed him, started walking across the round pen. Hey, yeah, I'm fixing to ride that horse. You need to leave him alone kind of deal. And on. I said, Pat, this horse bucked you off. When that happened, I don't know. So we had this little conversation going on today. This horse is the reason why the two of us look at a horse and go, nope, not getting on that one.
So
we still have residual injuries from that, but
I'm getting straighter. My hips point the same direction, which is helpful.
But we'll ride and we train horses and we do a lot more behavioral. And it's like once we find out exactly what the problem is, Pat.
Tell him about Tengu.
That was the one that dumped it.
Yeah, well, he dumped us, but he had a separated shoulder. And this was before we were as advanced as we are now. Like Tengu is like 32 years old. Okay. But he came from Ramsey, North Carolina. I'm from Canada.
Guess the Carolinas mixed up.
I don't know where I am in the United States. Anyway, and we were invited up there to work with this horse because they couldn't even get a handle on him. And his halter, he was a young horse, and his halter was growing into his nose, and they couldn't catch him, and they couldn't handle him. And just to let you know how in tune horses are, okay, we have all these people who've been trying to rope this horse and run him around the round pen and tire him out and trying to catch him with food, and he's like, not happening because you tripped me and you dislocated my shoulder and I don't trust you. And we didn't know that at the time. So he goes in to the round pen with a young stallion who is very defiant, and I sat out on the edge of the round pen and I helped read the horse, and Frank went in and worked with the horse. Now, the trick is not to have any anxiety, any fear,
ego,
just to ground and not to be human, to be invisible. And it took 35 minutes?
About 35 minutes.
And the next thing you know, this horse comes in and is with Frank, and Frank is still not reaching to touch him. And the horse now wants to be touched. So what does this horse do? He puts his forehead on Frank's chest and touches him and walks around Frank, keeping his forehead in contact with Frank's body. That is unheard of. That was a horse who said, oh my God, you see me. Can I trust you? I hurt. Can you fix my head? Oh. And so Frank was able to strip the halter and put a brand new halter on a horse.
And then 3 weeks later, we're going back up there because they're going, Frank, you need to come up here and get your damn horse. And so we had to go back. We had to make another 10-hour drive back up to go get a horse that came home with us. And I'm not lying, a horse that's never been on a horse trailer. We opened up the horse trailer that morning, and I'm not lying, bam, right in the horse trailer, shut the thing. They said, holy cow, I guess he wanted to go. Heading home. Yeah.
And he rode home for 6 hours in the horse trailer.
Yep.
And he taught us a lot. And he taught us.
Oh yeah, he told me more than I do.
But
Anyway.
you know, but we started the Balanced Horse Project with horses like that. We had 21 donated horses. They were either unrideable, really broke to the point where they had negative prognosis from veterinarians,
Train wrecks.
veterinary universities. We also had 3 horses that came in under euthanization order, under public safety or hazard, dangerous horses. And these horses came from a different state and stayed with us. All of these horses either were aggressive, terrified, lame, or having absolutely zero chance of ever having a positive life. All of these horses, the lame horses, all of them became sound. All of these horses shifted behavior from, undesirable to wow. Can we touch you?
We supposedly we've got 2 or 3 of them that you can't put them out in a herd of horses. Can't put them out with a group.
They'll kill another horse.
Each other.
They'll kill another
And
horse.
I want to tell you something. We've got a herd of horses that you stick them out in the field together. There's not a problem. We got horses with the clients have brought in, and they'll be screaming when the horses be whinnying when they get off the trailer looking for friends and all. We got a herd right across the thing. They just lift their heads, look, and they go, yeah, rookie, go back to eating kind of deal. And then the bad part is after our clients have left their horse for a week or 2, when they come to pick up their horses are going, I am not leaving here. Yeah. Horses that are used to getting in and out of track. Oh, nope, not leaving this place. Fine. We're cool.
We need to get you guys over to the UK. So it might be cool if we could all meet up one day.
Yes, because I want to tell you what. Yeah, here's the deal. Now I come to the UK. There's 2 things. One will be to see you guys. That's going to be the top priority.
Correct answer, Frank. Correct answer.
I'm doing it right. Yeah. Okay. And then the other one is I want to go to the Isle of Man. I want to go do the.
I've got a friend over there.
Yeah.
Oh, you've come to the right place.
And then I want to go north to Inverness. I got cousins and family that live up towards there.
Oh, it's a beautiful place to go.
Distant.
Beautiful.
I haven't seen in quite numerous years, but yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I'm one of those
that, guys.
I'm one of those phrases.
Now we'll just see how it unwinds.
Exactly.
Okay, so
that's going to be an intention.
Manifestation.
Manifestation, yeah.
Well, guys, this is we've been on about nearly half an hour, so I'm gonna do a movie.
What you're going to do a little editing now after this?
No, not now. I'm going to eat because I'm hungry. But is there? Kathy? Do you want to say anything else before? Do you want to share?
I think we've covered quite a few areas here.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful. No, that's what I'm all about, is intention and energy and connection. So everything we've been talking about here
is
brilliant.
I'm going to tell you, if you guys come to see us, come to stay here and everything, we have marvelous weather in the fall, and usually it's in the winter. Yeah.
So when is that?
Don't come see us in the summer.
No.
Too hot.
Summer's not it.
Too hot.
Too hot. Seriously.
Let me put it this way. It's a lovely 85 degrees Fahrenheit outside, but it already feels like it's getting close to 100 because of the humidity. You don't take a bath in the morning to go outside and do chores and come back in, because you'll be taking another bath.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Frank.
Hey, underneath all these clothes, we're all naked. Anyway.
Oh, goodness me. Oh, my goodness.
I wish we could say that there was some time of year when we'd have good weather. I mean, it's nearly the end of May, and literally today was the first partially warm day of the year, literally of the year. Last year we had a real heat wave from sort of March till nearly June, didn't we? It was really dry and warm and lovely. This year it's been so We can't even offer you that to say come at a
That's
certain time of
okay.
year.
That's okay. As long as it's green, I'm good. Okay.
It's definitely
Oh,
green
it's
now.
green.
It's a luminous
Now,
green.
and white. 3 colors in a landscape. I like to avoid. Okay. Too hot, too humid, too much snow.
And it's funny.
You'd be all right
We lived
here.
in Canada for so long. You would think that we would be used to the snow part.
But now I'm just spoiled.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that. But it was a joy, and it's always a pleasure. And what Kathy brings to people is really important. If you don't have access to us, use Kathy because she's really opens the door. And then Ronnie actually hit me in our first interview, and she talked about the crescent of horses that stand around me, and that reading was 100% right on. So as a group, you're looking at some pretty amazing people, and we all come with different gifts, I guess you could say. And when we put them together, it's dynamite. So I hope that everybody enjoyed this conversation. I think it's delightful.
So who all else? So this is a question for anybody watching this. Who all else is out there that does this? That's just like I said. You're wearing masks and everything, and don't want everybody to think you're weird. Why don't you guys come out and let Ronnie interview you, or make contact with Kathy or Pat? I mean, come on. And go, look, I'm goofier than hell, and I'm on the damn on this thing, whatever this technology stuff is.
It's a computer, Frank.
Yeah. Look, I came kicking and screaming in the 21st century. She'll tell you. I'm the kind of guy that still likes 1970 cars and the whole bit. And
There's nothing wrong with that. There's
and
nothing
it
wrong
works.
with that.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, I've really
That's why I
enjoyed
play with
tonight. I've really enjoyed tonight, and it's been lovely having you on, Frank. You just make me laugh and make me smile. Really interesting. Well, I find it interesting, and like I've said, I don't have a huge following on YouTube, but people tend to watch them afterwards. So the other videos are still getting replays, and people are linking in, and whoever's attracted or drawn to them are the right people. The ones that want to find a spark within themselves, and that's what it's about. It's about sharing viewpoints and things, and you don't always have to agree, and it's not going to be exactly right because it's your individual learning at your stage, at your growth, and that's okay. That's okay because that's what life is all about. But there's a definite coming together of minds and wanting to see changes, but for humans as well, because at the end of the day, what you're doing for animals, it's, we need it big time, because like you said, we need to be there to help them, to facilitate what they need. They know what they need, but they need us to get it for them, or to access it, if that's the right word. But thank you so much.
And we need them.
And we need, we do, definitely. Thank you so much for spending the time with me tonight. And it's worked out okay. Internet, a few glitches, but that's fine.
A few glitches from Welsh Wales, yeah.
And hopefully your what sort of dog have you got, Kathy?
What job?
Dog. I know what your job is.
Sorry. A little border terrier, Flossie.
So she's due
hopefully. I don't think I'm going to get much sleep tonight. I really think something in the next 24 hours anyway. Little puppies might appear.
Is it a full moon tonight, or is it an eclipse or something?
No, 26th. I think that was.
Oh, was
We're
it?
on the 20. Yeah, I think it's gone.
Yeah, that was that.
We'll see, I'm always late.
Yeah, so we'll see.
It'll be in the early morning or sometime tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, probably about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, bless you. Right, guys. So don't disappear. I'm gonna just take you out and say goodbye to everybody, whoever's watching, and we'll just have a quick chat before you go, if that's okay.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Say bye to everybody.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.
Bye, John Boy. Oh, dear me. Oh, my cheeks hurt from laughing so much. They're such a buzzing lot of people, and it's so nice to have Kathy and Pat and Frank on together. Yeah, synchronicities are amazing, absolutely amazing. And I was going to share something that happened today, but I think I'll save that for another live stream. So thank you very much for everybody that came to watch this, or anybody that's going to watch this on replay. Once again, I'll post links to Kathy and Pat's Facebook page and website, and if you need to contact or ask them any questions, they'll be more than happy to reply, so please do so. And or they can point you in the right direction if you're needing guidance. Oh, thank you, Philip. Oh, so hi. Oh, thank you. You're welcome. And thank you, Sue. Sue made a comment earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt. So thank you very much. I really appreciate if you'd share these videos as well, because it's about getting information out. What you do with it is entirely up to you. And this is not about pushing my views or anybody else's views. It's just opening a doorway, and you can make your own choices. And your animals and your friends and yourself will thank you, because it starts with you. So have a lovely weekend. Thank you again for watching. Whoever you are, wherever you are in the world, take care, and a big hug from me. Take care for now, and thank you. Bye.